unintentionally.
Tēnā koe te māngai te whare. Mr Speaker, I first heard about the Parliament bill in an email from the Honourable Christopher Finlayson, and I had occasion to hear about it quite often while I was the Speaker of this House. Can I just, I join with colleagues around the House in supporting this in its first reading to go to a select committee. I think it is very important. Can I just touch on the security issues as former Speaker having to deal with the consequences of not having some of the powers that this piece of legislation will give? I can tell the House that it's incredibly important that we consider that very carefully, because the consequences of not having those powers actually impacts on everyone's safety, MPs, staff and those who visit Parliament, and it should be a place where everyone should feel safe. I note that the drafting of the legislation has been done, I consider, in a very careful way. I've read other commentary as well that state that this has been drafted in quite a particular way that, in my opinion, does not overstep a mark where police should take over. It's to a point that our security here in Parliament should be able to act until police arrive. And I think that's entirely appropriate. And so I support that. I also support the proposed changes to the way that Parliament is funded. I think perception in politics is really everything. And if there's a perception, and this is not an accusation, but if there's a perception that government is interfering with the ability of Parliament to scrutinise the government, then that will be the narrative. And I want to acknowledge both the Leader of the House for his leadership in getting this to first reading. After a very long gestation. I want to acknowledge, as I said before, the Honourable Christopher Finlayson. He was a strong advocate of this, and also the Right Honourable Trevor Mallard when he was Speaker as well. And I think it's important that we do the very best as a select committee to make sure that Parliament can scrutinise effectively the executive, and I think through this bill that will happen. I won't go into all the other parts of the bill, but I just want to let the House know I look forward to participating in that select committee.
Again, good point you brought up there. I mean, there's already too many cops in Parliament. Just look at some of those MPs.
I wonder if the Sergeant of Arms jail was big enough.
Yeah.
Because isn't there, I don't know if there is in New Zealand's Parliament, but apparently in the UK and I think the United States, they do actually have a prison room underneath it to hold what was known as disorderly MPs.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it was something. It was something. Yeah, it's doing on that. I'm not sure if Wellington's one has all the ceremonial part, but like the other weird thing about Wellington, about New Zealand's Parliament is we don't have. So there is a functional position called Black Rod, but in New Zealand, Black Rod is always an acting role that gets appointed for the opening of Parliament. Because we don't permanently have a Black Rod, because Black Rod is associated with the House of Lords.
Right, okay.
But it's a person who walks around holding a black rod.
I'm in favour.
As well.
I, for one, happen to be in favour of building a cell in Parliament for people who have cringy takes.
Well, not forgetting the Parliament building itself was originally supposed to be twice the size, and it never got fully completed. So it might have been something that was planned for the second part of the Parliament buildings. They might have wanted to put a cell in there and just never got around to it.
Well, I also remember the Parliament building was actually meant to be across the road from its current site, which is still there. It's I think Victoria University uses it for lecture halls. But yeah, the original Parliament was meant to be across the road, and that's which never happened. It was something, it just ended up where it did. But also, like the fact, like the Beehive was an extension to the House of Representatives to put the executive outside there, and then I think later on there was the Bowen House that was put all in the same point. Yeah. Because I think the Beehive was like built, I think, or like the process started under Muldoon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he actually got to actually have his office on the ninth floor.
No, it didn't open until the early 80s, I think.
Yeah, and it may have been that after that 84, that government was the one that got to go into new offices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.